When PlayStation Plus first became a thing 12 years ago, it was just about cloud saves and those free monthly games. Then the times changed and it became about online play as well, but now the times have changed again. We consume movies and TV shows through Netflix and Disney+. We read through Amazon Unlimited, and even with games, Xbox have brought along Game Pass, and we now play games through a service. And so now, for the second time, PlayStation Plus is adapting again. There's now 3 tiers of PlayStation Plus. Essential, which is what PlayStation Plus has always been, monthly games, cloud saves, and online play. But then there's Extra, which is all of that, plus a big game catalogue of over 400 PS4 and PS5 games. And then Premium, everything listed, but also access to legacy games from PS1, PS2, PSP, a few PS4 remasters of games from those eras, and also streamable PlayStation 3 games. You'll also get trials for brand new PS5 games. Now, if you don't care about any of those benefits, you're fine just sticking with the standard tier. Most classic games are sold individually with the subscription, and that is rad as flip. I fully understand that value is different from person to person, and bringing in a new subscription can be a big ask. So let's go on this journey together. This service has been out for a month now, and I've bought and used it for a month. So has it won me over? It's very easy to dismiss something you've never tried, so let's give this a shot and go in entirely open-minded. But before we do, boy oh boy, there's a lot of games here, and I don't have time to be deleting and downloading new ones constantly. But thankfully, this video is sponsored by WD Black. Modern games are big and chunky. Here's a PlayStation 1 game, and here's a PlayStation 5 game! When you're subscribed to a service like PlayStation Plus Premium, you've got a lot at your fingertips, but finite space to store it all. And that's where our pals at WD Black have your back. Getting a new SSD can be intimidating. Only a select few are fast enough to play PlayStation 5 games natively. So what are you gonna do? Wing it? I tried using a Dreamcast VMU and it couldn't run Demon's Souls. What you want is a product officially licensed by PlayStation, so you know it's gonna work, like the WD Black SN850. This is more licensed than anything has ever been licensed before, with even Mark Cerny, the engineer of the PlayStation 5, touting it as his favorite SSD. That is so officially licensed. All your fears have left, and you're ready to submit to the SSD. But I heard installing an SSD takes hours! You heard wrong, random commenter. I mean, I've not done it before, but let's try, let's see how long this takes. Oh, that was pretty quick. We've got the 2TB variant here, but there's also a 1TB version, and combining that with the 667GB of usable space on the PS5's default drive, and you've got a ton of space for even the largest games on PlayStation Plus Premium. So check out the WD Black SN850. You can find a link below to the WD store for this officially licensed SSD. Now this is my own personal bubble speaking, but as someone who was there for the PlayStation 4 era, I was a bit resilient to seeing the value of the game catalogue. I mean, most of the games here I'd want to play, I have played. But also, I'm a weirdo who sacrifices socializing to play games, and most of you probably aren't that. But just scrolling through this, there is so much good here. It's easy to see how someone who didn't keep up with every single release, or just skip PlayStation 4 entirely, would love this lineup. If I thought about essential PlayStation 4 games, I'll probably say stuff like God of War, Spider-Man, Bloodborne, Uncharted 4, Final Fantasy VII Remake, The Last Guardian, Tetris Effect, Gravity Rush 1 and 2, baby! And they're all here in this service. You've also got the giant mainstream big boys like Red Dead Redemption 2, most of the Assassin's Creed games including Valhalla, and big sports games like 2K22. God damn this file size. I'm very thankful for the 2TB SSD now. Even some of the earlier PlayStation 5 games like Demon's Souls, Returnal, and Miles Morales are chilling out here. If you don't have a big collection, you've got thousands of hours to catch up on in the simplest way possible. Just experiencing scrolling through this games list and playing some stuff that wouldn't usually interest me has changed my perspective on how good this can be. Heck, Stray just came out, and it immediately joined the PlayStation Plus Extra tier. It's a fairly short game that took me around 3.5 hours to finish, and so the question is, would you rather pay full out for the game, £24.99, or just get a month of the extra tier for £10.99? It really can be quite good value, and I probably wouldn't have played this game right now if it weren't for PlayStation Plus Premium or Extra. The whole service targets 2 different kinds of people, I think, and there is some overlap. There are the people with many gaps in their game library and want to fill it with classics such as Mighty No. 9 and Balan Wonderworld, and then there's the fellows who want the legacy stuff, and that's much more me. See, I hate when games are viewed as quick disposable flings and you're meant to play one thing and then embrace the next calendar release. No, that's not what it's about at all. A good game will always be good, and it's important we keep their legacy going through new hardware, both so we can keep playing them and so new people can discover them. There's some really cool improvements here too. A digital library of PS1 games isn't entirely a new thing. I mean, PS3, PSP and Vita did the very same thing. And while the emulation there was fantastic, we didn't have extra tools like save states and rewind features, and that's fully present here on PS5 and PS4. There's some pretty cool filters too, and you can change the screen ratio. Although, don't do that in a PSP game because that looks very weird. It's always meant to be widescreen, I don't know why you would crunch it. And also, don't stretch a PS1 game, these should be illegal. You should go to prison for doing either of these things. But anyway, they can look very, very good. Right now, in Europe, we have got some 50Hz games, and that's not true for the entire world, but for us, unfortunately it is. 60Hz games are coming for every single title, and that is awesome. Especially as all past redistributions, including PS3, PSP, Vita, and some PlayStation Classic games, were also 50Hz, so this is kind of a first for us. But even with the current inconsistencies before they fix this, I'm still enjoying it a lot. I've been begging for years for the classic Resident Evil games on modern platforms, and we finally have the first one on PS4 and PS5. It's so cool to finally play it here, at last! The remake's also part of the game catalogue, but it doesn't replace the original. These are totally different games. Play both of them, you'll see how valuable they really are separately. And then Ape Escape is one of the best games you'll find on PlayStation 1. Everybody's Golf is spectacular as ever. Wait, I didn't like that shot, go back. It's spectacular as ever! Tekken 2 is still masterful. Toy Story 2, one of the best licensed platformers I've ever played. And we've got a bunch of other classics like Worms Armageddon, Wild Arms, and Oddworld. It's a pretty good launch, but it also delivers a feeling that Nintendo fans will find very familiar. We already had a sizable selection on PlayStation 3, and so to go back to a smaller handful and start from scratch is a little deflating. Though, if you already bought a game on PlayStation 3 or PSP or Vita, you'll magically own it here. That's awesome. It does need to be added to the service first, so just because I bought Bishi Bashi Special on Vita doesn't mean I can download it here on PlayStation 5, at least not just yet. There are more features like save states and rewinds, and for some games even trophies and online play. But it's worth noting these are generally more expensive than PS3, and in the case of Resident Evil you can't buy it separately of the subscription, and that blows. Hopefully there's not much more of that. But even with some steps forward and some steps back, we are embracing more platforms here. The Ps2 Classic range that shipped on PlayStation 4 a few years ago is here in the premium tier. So games like Jak 1, Jak 2, Jak X, Ape Escape 2, Dark Cloud, Wild Arms 3, they're all right here. Again, these aren't new releases, so don't expect the same UI elements from PlayStation 1 and PSP like save states and rewind. And I can't say they're flawlessly done either, some of them do have issues, but it's still really cool to play a game like Jak on PS5. Same for a ton of other remasters. PS4's God of War 3 remaster, the Bioshock collection, Batman Return to Arkham. Yeah, the actual PS3 games are streamed, but there's still a few ways you can play them natively with their PS4 ports. The PSP selection is a little small right now, but there is one game I want to shout out, and that's Loco Roco Midnight Carnival, which, just for a sec, is rad as flip! This was a digital-only PSP game, and right now the only other way to buy it officially is on the Vita store, so to preserve it here is awesome. There's a few others like Echo Shift and No Heroes Allowed, but otherwise you've got a few of those PS4 ports of PSP games, similar to how PS2 is handled. So there's the new emulation stuff and some of the older stuff. So this means games like the original Loco Roco 1 and 2, and also stuff like Patapon 1 and 2. And if it counts, Lumines also got a remaster, and I'm gonna say it counts because this game is so good! None of these latter ones have save states or rewind because they're very different emulation to the newer ones, but it's still cool that they're here. And yeah, PlayStation 3 is streamed, but there's still some real gems in here. Rain, Tokyo Jungle, one of my favourite games on the entire system, and even the PlayStation 3 versions of the Resident Evil rail shooters. It is a bit of a shame to see some games that do have native PS4 ports, like the DMC collection, settle for the streamed PS3 version, but honestly, the streaming is pretty good. I know it's some fearful taboo, but this isn't bad. I'll always take native backwards compatibility or emulation, but still, this is one solution. It could be better, but it isn't bad. There's for sure a lot of growing to do, and I would have absolutely preferred brand new PS2 emulation. But what's here is pretty good, and being able to dive into anything at no extra cost, I think is going to expand people's retro horizons. Like if it was only paid with no subscription, people would just go to the stuff that they know, like how Crash always dominated the PlayStation 3 charts. But Dark Cloud is right there, and if you haven't played it, give it a chance, why not? Maybe it'll become a favourite. The pros are outweighing the cons. It's a good service, and it's really cool seeing some PS5 games on here. Returnal's barely dropped in price, and in my opinion it's one of the purest and most addictive gameplay experiences on PS5. It rarely interrupts you, it's just a pure game that you play. That's kinda rare these days. It's still £60 on Amazon right now, which is around 5 to 6 months of PS Plus Premium. I mean, just looking at it like that for one game makes it seem pretty good, but it's not just one game, that's the entire thing. It's discovering older classics, branching out your tastes without the money investment, and even trying something totally new, like Stray. This isn't really competing with something like Game Pass. Yeah, they both give you a big library of games, but Game Pass is more about getting games day one, and that's not really the gist here. I mean, apart from stuff like Stray. Sony have a lot of power behind their AAA games, and it's understandable they wouldn't want to give them away as part of a service. It's not a Game Pass killer, but it also doesn't need to be. Sony's legacy goes deep, and there's a ton of PS1 and PS2 and PSP games that you won't find anywhere else. They're here, and on their original platforms. It will surely become something pretty special when that library fills out, but even right now, I'm confident in saying that this is a pretty good deal. I have been turned around on PlayStation Plus Premium. So, I was a little cynical on this service at first. I mean, I already pay for Game Pass Ultimate and Switch Online Expansion Pack, and Disney Plus and Netflix and Amazon Prime, so squeezing in another subscription service definitely wasn't something I was racing to do. But just sampling what this has to offer, I am impressed. I've wanted legacy games on PS5 and PS4 ever since PS4 first came out. PlayStation 1 games, PSP games, PS2 games, PS3 games, even if they're streamed. It's so cool having them here, on one console. Backwards compatibility is something we shouldn't take for granted, and I'm always thankful when companies start to respect their legacy. And so to end off, I have but one request, and this is less of a request and more of a demand. Vib ribbon. I know PS5 can't play CDs. Do it though. Do it for Vibri, or else I'll get you.